Okay, welcome to the online info session about the International Neuroscience MSc program at the Sagol School of Neuroscience, Tel Aviv University. My name is Orly, and I'm the program coordinator. Joining us today are the two academic heads of the program, Professor Dinora Friedman-Morvinsky and Dr. Sagia Fedax. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for joining us today from various parts of the world. These are challenging times in Israel. The situation is pretty dynamic. We are still praying every day for the safe return of all the hostages and for quieter days in the entire Middle East. Having said that, we and all our students can testify that all academic activities are almost, and all life in Israel are almost going totally as normal as possible. If any of you afterwards would like to ask students directly about their experiences, about living in Israel and studying in Tel Aviv University, we'll be more than happy to connect you because probably there's questions that you want to ask them directly. So it's fine, and we will do our best to connect you. Today we will hear an intro to Tel Aviv University and the Sagol School of Neuroscience. We're going to get an overview of our International Neuroscience MSc program. We're going to get a glimpse of some current research by Dr. Sagia Fedax. And of course, we're going to have some time for questions from you because this is why we are here. We have people from different places, so we're going to try to do it very informative. So without further ado, let's begin. Dino?
Yep. So let me share first the presentation. Great. And here we are. So as Orly mentioned, I'm co-heading the program together with Dr. Sagi. And just to show you from experience, you can probably hear from my accent, I'm an Israeli, but I wasn't born here. I was born in South America, in Uruguay, and I also came to Israel for my master's degree. So I know how it is to look for a program, to come to a different country, to start academics here. Of course, I visited Israel before coming to live here or to come to my master's, but I don't think that makes any difference. So today I'm gonna introduce you to the International Neuroscience Master Program. And before I delve into details on the program, I wanna first share with you some details about the school itself. Sorry, I think I'm at the end. Let me go. Oh, wait, this is weird. We're at the end. Now we are at the beginning. Okay, so first of all, very basic question, right? What is neuroscience? And we probably can find several definitions of what is neuroscience. And here in our program, what Sagol School of Neuroscience will try to actually ask different questions related with neuroscience. How does the brain work? What are the emotions? Where and how are memory stores? These are only a glimpse of different questions that we ask and we actually do our research. In terms of the Sagol School of Neuroscience, some information about it. It was established in 2011. And across campus, we have 150 laboratories that are and can be associated or affiliated to 8 different faculties. And we have 17 medical centers that also have faculty members in it. That is one advantage of Tel Aviv University, that we have several very prestigious medical centers that are in the area and they are affiliated with Tel Aviv. So some of our principal investigators, professors, have their labs outside campus, in the clinics, in these hospitals, or of course, some of them are here in campus too. We have full educational studies in neuroscience. We have several degrees that we offer at the school. We have undergrad studies, we have master, PhD, and also postdoc positions. Today, we have more or less 1,100 undergrad and grad students together at Sagol School of Neuroscience. We offer, of course, state-of-the-art research, We have several in-house research centers. These are some examples: Minducate, Mila, integrative psychedelic research. You can get all information about these centers on our website. And of course, I have to highlight that we are the leading neuroscience school in Israel, of course. And if we are continuing with the ranking, we are actually the best globally. If you look at all the universities that are in neuroscience in Israel, we're ranked on the first place. In terms of interdisciplinary, I would say that Sagol School of Neuroscience is the hub of a big network that actually interconnect all this network of different faculties, as I mentioned before. And that also shows you how, how interdisciplinary and how we are actually encouraging these collaborations between different fields. And you will see that in the program, you can actually have some elective courses that you can take, and you can take it from different faculties. So you can have, your project can be actually involving more than one aspect, depends on what you choose to do, of course. Sagol also is a mega center for combating different brain disorders. These are only some of the examples. We have Alzheimer's disease, stroke, pain, Parkinson's diseases, and these are only just a glimpse of different centers that we have for research on these specific neurodegenerative diseases or brain disorders. And I want also to mention the translational aspect of the school. That means that several of our professors that are affiliated to the school have actually opened different startup companies because they are trying to bring what they research or what they do in their labs to the patient's bedside. And the way to do it is sometimes through these startups and biotech companies. Not only the academia is involved in these collaborations, we also have a big network that works together with us in terms of industry. And here you can see many pharma companies and also some equipment or instrument companies. The idea is that we work with them sometimes in collaboration because we can actually provide some insight in terms of research, and they can provide us with some material or instruments that we don't have on campus, and that way we can reach better our goals and our aims. So these are just some examples that I posted here. In terms of excellence, we are always aiming at the publications in top journals, and these are just some examples of big publications of members of the Sagol School of Neuroscience. We are aiming not only for the students, but also, of course, the PIs, the principal investigators, to publish in top journals. If you want to publish and if you want to do high quality research, of course, you need to have good funds. But before I got into that, just a little bit of numbers. You can see that with the years, we've been increasing the number of publications of the members. If it's going a little bit down at the end, it's because Corona, yes, COVID actually affected, of course, our research. But I'm sure it's going up, and we will catch up very soon. I was mentioning before the funds and the support that we need to do in order to do our research. And here's just an example of one of the big, very competitive grants that are awarded in Europe. It's called the ERC, European Research Council. And these are some of our members that currently have won this very competitive grant. This is just an example, as I said. There are many others, but just to show you that we have the possibility to get these funds in order to do high quality research in our labs. We have a lot of international conferences that we organize and we host here at Tel Aviv University. These, again, are some examples of past conferences. And so if you're coming to our program, you have the opportunity to participate in these international conferences that are being held here in Tel Aviv. Now, going into the academic programs, as I mentioned before, in Sagol School of Neuroscience, we actually offer different and diverse undergrad and graduate programs in neuroscience in different fields. And specifically for neuroscience, we have a master in neuroscience, a master in clinical neuroscience, PhD in neuroscience, and master in neuronal computation. Some of these programs, mostly the master programs, start today in Hebrew, but as we open our master, international master program, I'm sure we are trying to bring some of this program in English so we can offer to international students in the future. Now, about our specific program, and these are only some highlights of the program, and I'm sure that if you need more information, you can go to our website. And as Orly mentioned before, we can ask questions now, and we are always open to answer any questions regarding the program. So just a little bit of highlights. First of all, the idea is to expand your knowledge in specific neuroscience areas of research, while at the same time you're enjoying, the access to 150 different laboratories that are associated with our school. You will have the opportunity to take advantage of both an empiric experience as part of this, research network, and be able to write a thesis. And at the same time, you can expand your knowledge by choosing different elective courses as well as mandatory courses that we offer in the program. Another very nice and big advantage is if you are accepted to the program, you will benefit from an enhanced living scholarship. The scholarship goes directly to your bank account, so you can use this scholarship for paying the dorms if you're going to live in the dorms, or just paying for your living expenses. And you have a full tuition exemption too. Finally, the idea is that you will learn advanced quantitative methods in different areas, and these are going to be led by very well-known and renowned neuroscientists that we have here at school. So this is, as I said, a very general idea of the program, but if you have questions, as Orly said, she's the coordinator, she has all the answers to all these technical questions and more. But if it's specific to academic questions, and then you can write to Sagi or to me by email. You can reach us. Everything is on the website. And I think here, if it's okay with you, Orly, we can open the main flow for questions related to the program or to Sagol School of Neuroscience. So I will stop sharing here. Just a sec. Yep. So we can see each other.
Yes. Okay. So any of you, any questions? This is why we are here. You can just unmute yourself and.
Or you can, they can also.
Or you can in the chat
yeah.
if you want to write. Sure.
I
Yes,
can
Maya.
ask a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned before that you have like master's programs and PhD programs. So I'm wondering, like, how often do students go from the master's track to the PhD track, and is it easy to continue on?
So there is a possibility to do that. There is several options. One of them is, like you said, you start your master's, and if while you're starting, you already know that this is the place you want to continue to a PhD, then there are some requirements. First of all, I know you need an average of at least 90, if I'm not mistaken. I can find out those things, but I'm almost sure that it's 90. And you have to do, in that year, research that is mostly equivalent to kind of a research of a thesis, of a master thesis. You will have a PhD committee acceptance kind of interview, and they will see what are your results, what are your achievements in that year, and if they believe that you qualify to continue to jump to a PhD, then it is possible.
And another thing, there's a minimum of academic credits that you need to take. I don't remember, I think it's 20, I'm not sure, I think it's 20 academic credits, but anyhow, you can send me an email and I can send you all the information, but then that means that you have to take minimum of courses in the first and the second semester of the first year. That's it. But
yeah,
exactly what Dino said. Yeah.
Hi, can I ask a question? I missed the part. Are there prerequisites that are necessary for the program?
Yes, there are, and they are listed on the website. There's a list of courses that you have to have. By memory, I can, remember there is introduction to neuroscience or neurobiology, mostly.
To chemistry,
cellular,
physics.
Mathematics, physics, statistics. I mean, usually what you do, if you're not 100% sure, you send us your, courses that you did, the syllabus sometimes, because we need to see it, but mostly your grades and your listed courses that you did during your undergrad, and we'll let you know what is missing. And then we can accept you to the program. But then since the moment that we accept, you have time, right? Till usually we do our interviews in April. And so from April till the beginning of the program, which is usually in October, if I'm not mistaken, you have time to do all these prerequisite courses. You can do them online. We have some suggestions, but it's up to you. But you need to show us then a certificate that you did the course, and that's all.
I'm just going to add.
Okay, thank you.
Again, sorry?
No, you can add.
Okay, I'm just going to add one more thing. Like Dino said, only after receiving all your documents and all your transcripts, and only after getting accepted to the program, then based on your academic background, then we will send you specific links to courses that you can, like Dino said, you can take online and complete them before the beginning of the program. And it depends on your academic background. So this is part of the acceptance process. So that's why we need all your transcripts and all your academic information to see if you have these courses or not, because in the beginning of the program, everybody is in the same level. So you can start like everyone.
And how many hours per week is are the classes?
It depends what you take. In terms of courses you're saying, it depends what you take. I mean, some people prefer to take a lot of them in the first semester or first year, so they are, they have the second year to do mostly research. It depends on you. You build your own schedule. Of course, there's a minimum, and there's things that are only given the first semester, others that are given only the second semester. So that's where Sagi and myself can help you. You send us the idea of courses. Of course, your supervisor will also help you to choose the different courses depending on your research you're going to do. So all of us together will help to build that. But I can't tell exactly how many hours.
All the program is 30 academic credits.
Yeah, but depends.
Courses wise.
Course is different hours, yeah.
Can I ask you the question? It's mostly the same. My background, like bachelor's degree and master's degree, it's mostly in business and 2 years in medical school. But I have also the online certificates for the neuroscience programs, some of them. So is it taken into consideration at the application process? First, that's the first question. And the second question is, for example, this year I'm not qualified to apply for the program, but can you give me the, I don't know, like links to the course and other things to do it maybe the next year if I'm not qualified this year?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely show you and which are the online courses that we suggest mostly to take. You can also sometimes, even if you can find those, because maybe they change every year, you can send us what you think might be good in terms of the prerequisite that we give. If I say introduction to neurobiology, there can be many online courses. So you can send us to us. We'll look at the syllabus and tell you, yes, this is enough, or no, this is not enough.
Great. And do you have these cases, for example, if someone comes from a different field, for example, business or something different, but take these courses and you accept them?
Yeah, we had people coming from all different. I mean, that's the idea, is to be interdisciplinary and to get students from all around and different aspects. So for sure,
Great.
we have.
Great. Thank you.
I have a few questions. I wanted to ask about, I was thinking about making Aliyah, and I wanted to know if I do that, whether I still qualify to join the international program, because obviously I need it to be in English.
Definitely. If you're living in Israel or not, if your main language is English, you are more welcome to join. We're just saying that if students know Hebrew, they have more courses in Hebrew that they can take. But if you know only English, it doesn't matter if you're living in Israel or not. It's an international program for international students who live in Israel. It's the same.
So even if I kind of got my Israeli citizenship, would I be eligible for the tuition exemption and the allowance too? Okay. And then I just wanted to ask how the course is examined. So you have a master's thesis and these credits. So is it a mixture of exams and then your thesis?
For the final grade, you're asking?
Yeah.
Usually, you know, it depends what you're gonna do. You're asking if I want to continue for a PhD, for example. Usually for a PhD, they will look at the average of your courses on one hand, and then you have a separate like of grade for the master thesis. And so those two, I don't think they're average when you're applying for at least in our institution, right? When you apply for a PhD, we will look at the average in terms of the courses, and sometimes no, we don't have even sometimes the final grade in the thesis. I think we look at both.
Sorry, I just have two more and then I'm done.
No,
my next one was if I was looking at the researchers and I found a few that I would really be interested to work with. Do the researchers get to choose if they have space to take a student? So it's kind of up to them. There's no like obligation to take a student.
So I would say that once you're accepted, one of the main challenges is to find where to do your master's thesis, right? Yes, there are some labs, and I mean, Sagi can tell too, there are some labs that they have more space and more positions, others that are taken. You know, we don't have huge labs here. So also in terms of funds, right? We need to pay some of or part of your fellowship. I mean, I'm saying the principal investigator. So yeah, you can, usually the way it works is that you approach directly to these principal investigators. You ask them if they have a position, an open position in their, you know, lab. And, you know, depending on the answer is yes or no.
Okay.
But they are not, you know, there is not such a thing as you were accepted to the program. Now they have to take you these and these labs. You're accepted is a good thing. You're in. Now you have to find a place where to do your thesis.
Okay, I understand. And my last question was, I'm actually going to be in Tel Aviv next week. So I was wondering if there's a possibility to visit the school while I'm there.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
We just have we just have to emphasize again, Dino said it throughout the presentation. We have 150 labs affiliated to the school. So a lot of people are, you know, want to visit the school, and you expect to see one building with everybody in the same place. This is not the case because we have researchers all around the campus. So if you have a specific researcher, a specific lab that you're interested in, I recommend to send an email to that specific lab, to that specific researcher, and tell them I'm coming, can we meet, can I come to visit, and see what they answer. My office is always open, but again, send me an email. When are you coming? Because sometimes I'm not on campus, sometimes I have meetings. Again, like Sagi and Dino, we're working, so send us emails, but for sure, we will be happy to meet you and show you around and show you the campus and answer some more questions. But I recommend to send emails before and to do it in a specific time that is convenient.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Sure. Any more questions about anything? I answered some questions on the chat, but if you have any more, something that you're interested in, this is the time.
Shy.
Okay, so I think we're just going to move on to Sagi to just get a glimpse at some research.
Yeah, so you probably noticed that I'm the new guy here, and Oli and Dino are much more knowledgeable about the technicalities and all the things that really matter when you when you think of this of coming to our school. But I just wanted to give you a glimpse. Wait, which screen do you see?
We see this presentation.
See the presentation.
Okay, cool. All right, so I just wanted to give you a glimpse about of one of the studies that are being conducted here in our school. So I joined the Sagol School of Neuroscience 3 years ago, and I opened the Center for Cognitive Development, which basically means that we have a lab that investigates how babies, kids, and adults sometimes behave, how they perceive the world, how they learn, and how their brain develops from infancy to adulthood. So I'll just show a small little research that we did here, looking at how statistical learning develops from infancy to adulthood. So when I talk about statistical learning, I basically mean the main learning process that we do. So very little of our learning takes explicit form. Most of the things that we learn, we do it from our experience. We accumulate evidence and we gather some summary statistics and prediction about the upcoming events that we're about to face and the stimuli that we're going to see and to experience. And this process is sometimes depicted or described as inference, as Bayesian inference, where we slowly but surely gather our belief about the world, and every time we meet with another observation or we see another thing out there, we take this evidence and we update our belief or our prior based on some merging of this new evidence and our prior belief. And the question is, how does this develop? But before I turn into looking at how we measure these things along development, let me try and show you how this process works. Now, I would like you to, I wanted this to be some sort of interactive. So if you can open your cameras, everybody, if you can, open your cameras. Can you? Okay. So I'm going to play you a sequence of sounds. Now these sounds come in pairs, and each pair has a higher tone and a lower tone. Okay? And I want you to indicate which one was higher. If it was the first one, raise one finger. And if it was the second one, which was higher, raise two fingers. Okay? Are you ready? I hope you'll be able to hear this. You're not hearing it? Oh, that's a shame. Let's see if I can fix this quickly. Let's try now. Can you hear it? No. All right. So I'll skip the demo for, it's a pity, but anyway. So this task is special in terms that it's simple, but it's complicated enough for us to be able to separate the prior belief from the current observation, because by the time we hear the two tones, we somewhat forget the first one. Okay, so imagine, then you'll have to imagine this time that you heard two tones and requested to indicate which one was higher, but you totally forgot about the first one. Okay, just because of the time that passed between them. The second one is much more accessible to our decision process. So what happens if you totally forgot the first one? What's the best thing you can do? So the first thing that comes to mind is guess. We can guess whether the first one was higher or the second one was higher, but we can actually do better than guessing. We can take the prior belief that we have so far and merge it with the impoverished representation of the first tone. And this prior belief is based on all the previous trials that we performed so far, right? So these trials never come in isolation; they always come in a sequence. So we can estimate the mean frequency of all previous tones and merge this first tone with that representation of the mean, and this gives us a very elegant result. Where so here's an example of a trial where the two tones are higher than the mean frequency of all previous trials, and importantly, the first tone is closer to the mean, and by merging the first tone with the mean, we're going to increase the perceived difference between these two tones compared to the physical difference between them. And now this trial becomes much easier to perform. Okay. On the other hand, if the first tone is farther away from the mean, then merging it with the mean of all previous tones will decrease the perceived difference between these two tones compared to the physical difference between them, rendering this type of trials much harder to perform. And indeed, that's what we do. We perform the bias plus trials way better than bias minus trials, or the trials that were hampered by this bias towards the mean. Okay, and it's not specific to audition. In the visual domain as well, if we need to indicate which one of these two screens was denser, we're going to perform bias plus trials much better than bias minus trials. Okay, so how would you do that? How would you measure how this process develops? I mean, these tasks seem simple, but they're not feasible to conduct with babies and with kids, right? So we need to think of a solution where we can measure this type of trials. If we think of this structure of having two stimuli, one after the other, in a temporal with some temporal interval between them. Okay, and we want to somehow gather performance of babies, and that's the challenge of cognitive developmental research. Now, the way we approached it, so we wanted to develop a task where we can measure 1-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and adults. Now, with adults, you can build almost any task you want, and you can explain, you can give instructions, and you'll get some results. With 5-year-olds, it's more difficult. They sometimes understand, sometimes don't. With babies, you can give instructions as much as you want. They probably won't understand anything. So how would you do that? Now, we capitalized on the fact that we all like colors. we all prefer more colorful stuff than less colorful stuff. This is why we build playgrounds like this. This is why we design our classrooms, street malls. And if you don't like street malls, then fruit stalls. We all like colorful stuff. Okay, so this is the task that we built. So your attention is drawn to the center of the screen, and we track your eyes. So everything moves on the screen depending on your eyes. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, so we track your eyes, your gaze, and once you look at the center of the screen, a colorful pinwheel appears, and it will only disappear if you look at it. And another colorful pinwheel appears again. And we briefly attract your attention to the center of the screen, and then we place 2 placeholders. Now, importantly, these pinwheels differ in saturation level, okay? And I don't know if you noticed that this character was drawn to the placeholder that hid the more colorful pinwheel, okay? Now, we all do that, okay? As simple as this might seem, babies, children, and adults were all drawn towards the place, the rectangle that hid the more colorful pinwheel. So this is just to be able to measure performance in this 2 interval or 2 stimuli separated by temporal interval task. Okay. This is the structure, again, the structure of the task. 2 pinwheels and then 2 placeholders that hid these 2 pinwheels, and most people look at the placeholder that hid the more colorful pinwheel. So we were able, so just like we did with the 2-tone auditory task, we're able to calculate how much we use the current observation, okay, or the difference, the physical difference between the 2 pinwheels in a given trial versus how much we use the prior representation or the prior belief that we had. Okay, or mathematically the difference between the first pinwheel and the mean of all previous pinwheels that we've just seen. Okay, and while everybody performed the task very well, taking into account the physical difference between the 2 pinwheels in the current trial, this usage or this bias towards prior belief grows with age. Okay, so as we grow, basically what we found using this simple method is that as we grow, we rely less on the things that are out there and the things that we see and hear, and more on the things that we already know from our home or from when we grew up and collected information. That's it. This was just a little taste of the things that we do here. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you think like this knowledge can help lead to further research, or where do you see it leading?
Yeah, so it's interesting because in adulthood, this reliance on prior information differs between neurotypicals and people with various disorders. So, for example, people with dyslexia underuse this prior knowledge and rely too much on their current observation, versus people with autism, for example, have the reverse bias where they rely too much or a lot on their prior belief and little, and they update that belief slower than neurotypicals. So a good, like one of the ways that we're trying to investigate is whether we can track during the developmental process, whether we can track this divergence from typicality in early ages. Okay, and I mean, so currently, detecting or diagnosing dyslexia requires the kid to reach reading age, right? So can't, by definition, we cannot detect or we cannot diagnose dyslexia before we start teaching them to read, which often happens only at the age of 5. But using this method or similar methods, we might be able to detect people who are at risk to develop dyslexia before they're even starting to be exposed to the text and to being taught to read.
Okay. Sagi, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions, maybe. Okay, I got some more in the chat, but I think that most of the information is in the website of the program. And if any of you have any more questions, and if we're just gonna close the Zoom, and then you will say, oh wow, I just forgot the most important question, just send me an email and I will get in touch with you very fast. And I really hope that we will answer all your questions and you will submit all your documents on time. Don't forget, we're entering the last month of applying the program for next year. So good luck with it. And we really hope to see you next year in Tel Aviv. So enjoy the evening. We have people here that's 12 o'clock at night right now, and other people it's morning. So have a good day or a good night, and hope to see you next year with us. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Sagi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.